Hey guys, welcome back to Chariot Palmistry. My name is Sulab Jain, and in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions on what I think is going to be happening with the US elections between Trump and Biden. And it's not looking pretty good at all. In fact, 2020 hasn't been a good year at all. I think this election could actually trigger some of the more chaotic events this year. So first, let me start by giving you guys the predictions themselves. Then we'll go through the actual theory of why I think things are going to play out the way they will. Or the way I think they will, I should say. So number one, the first thing we got to look at is political chaos and uncertainty happening in Britain, of all places. Second, we're going to see some form of political scandals taking place in September for both candidates. Number three, there's going to be an uncertain outcome to the election in November. And in fact, both sides may even claim victory. Prediction number four is that there'll be some western states of the United States that talk openly about secession. There may also be eastern states that openly talk about seceding too. Next, I think this is going to trigger a bond market or US dollar confidence crisis. And then I think the results of the election could be delivered at the end of December. And the last prediction is that there's going to be an injury or accident to the president's head in April or March of 2020. So it's actually looking pretty dire, but it's not all bad news, I can promise you that. But first, let's actually have a look at the two candidates themselves, of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And I want to see if you guys can notice a mythological pattern here. Donald Trump is an egotistical, narcissistic sociopath. He lies like there's no tomorrow and does so shamelessly. He is basically a caricature of a snake oil salesman. And Joe Biden is basically a dementia patient. He has no actual policies of any meaning other than vaguely referring to things that happened in the past during the Obama era, or maybe even further back than that in his career. There's very little career accomplishments that he can point to, and because of his health, there's not a great deal of confidence that he inspires in other people. One way to look at this election is to see Donald Trump and his big head and his big ego as being a being who exists literally from the shoulders up. He's all just within his own head. And Biden, because of his dementia, is somebody who exists from the shoulders down. It's like one guy just has his head, the other guy just has his body. And this is the dichotomy of Rahu and Ketu. In Hindu mythology, Rahu and Ketu are the north node and south node of the moon. One guy rules things like obsession, illusions, deceit, and that type of thing, which is like Donald Trump. The other guy just refers to the past and really has no coherent plan for the material here and now. And that's Joe Biden. In other words, this election is pretty much two sides of the same coin. If you vote for Trump, you get Biden. If you vote for Biden, you get Trump. So the winner of this election really doesn't make any difference at all because it's the exact same energy. They're both malefic planets in one way or another, and they both trigger negative events. Donald Trump is actually the perfect caricature of a Rahu character, even down to the orange face. Rahu in mythology has a red face, by the way, so it's kind of funny that he does that to himself. And Biden, the fact that he struggles to put coherent sentences together, let alone formulate a clear plan with a vision, that pretty much mirrors the imagery of Ketu as well. There's no head, no thought that goes into what he does. He just exists, more or less. And that's the energy I really want you guys focused in on here. This is all about Rahu and Ketu. So as we do the analysis with these guys, let's keep those two areas in mind. But my first prediction was on uncertainty happening in Britain. So let's talk about that first and then see how that mirrors in to what's going to be happening in the United States. So Britain is the energetic father of the United States. I know Americans don't like hearing that because they fought like the Revolutionary War against him. But if you look at in terms of culture, language, the legal system, the political system, it's all pretty much inherited from Britain. And so if there's going to be chaos in America, it's going to have to start in Britain. Then in like a karmic lineage sense, it'll happen to Britain's child, the US. Now, exactly how that political uncertainty plays out, I'm not exactly sure, because even the power structure in Britain is very obscure. It could be issues with the monarchy, could be issues with the Prime Minister or Parliament. It could also be issues with Brexit. So I'm not sure exactly which way this is going to play out. except to say between September and October of this year, before the US elections, there's going to be a crisis of some sort for Britain. So that's my first prediction. The second prediction is political scandals for both candidates at the end of September. So what I want you guys to have a look at is where the sun is positioned for both of these candidates. For Donald Trump, the sun is in Taurus. And for Joe Biden, his sun is in Scorpio. They're at opposite ends of the zodiac, so these guys actually make perfect enemies. But what's going to be happening at the end of September is Rahu and Ketu are going to be transiting in to Scorpio and Taurus. And the reason that's important is when you're looking at government, you got to look at the sun. That's like the center of the solar system. It's the king of all the planets around it. So when you're looking for someone to be the president, they're the energetic equivalent of the sun to their country, hence the phrase the sun king. So both these malefic planets transiting over the sun of both of these candidates is actually going to bring about scandals for each of them. And it's that same transit that I think is also going to deliver an unclear outcome to the election. This is more than just Trump sort of tweeting and creating havoc like he did in the 2016 election. He was basically trying to trigger a civil war in case he lost. Pretty much going to do the same thing this time. Only this time I think Biden is going to do the same thing as well. But there's going to be an unclear result in the November election. And because of that uncertain outcome, there'll be states in the west of the United States and also the east of the United States that will openly talk about seceding. Now, whether they do or not, of course I don't know, but there'll be talk about it at least. And in fact, there could even be up to 4 factions of the US that talk about secession during like November and December. It's going to get crazy. At least there's going to be a lot of verbal sparring that goes on. That leads into my next prediction, which is bond market worries or US dollar confidence worries. Because of that uncertainty, because of all the rhetoric I think may happen with like states talking about leaving the union, people will start to lose faith temporarily in the US dollar and the bond market. I wouldn't suggest shorting either of those, by the way. It's going to be a temporary thing, so crash down and a quick spike up as well. Keep that in mind. The results, however, I think will come when the sun enters into Capricorn. That's going to be at the very end of 2020. And even then, I think both sides are going to seriously contest the results. But the most important energetic prediction here is an injury to the head of whoever wins this election. And that may happen in March or April of 2022. The theory with all of that is it's going to be at about that point in time where Rahu transits into Aries. And Aries is a zodiac sign that rules the head. So as we said before, Donald Trump is all about the head, and Rahu over there is going to like explode it, so to speak. And Joe Biden, energetically speaking, does not have a head. So Rahu coming up into there is going to create a similar problem for him. It's one of those elections you'd actually want to lose. Now, let me also say that I hope I'm wrong on this because I don't want to predict a bad event happening to someone, especially someone in that position, because that's just going to affect so many people's lives. Let me also throw out the caveat that the order of these events could be mixed up. So it could be that event number, like the last event happens second or third, or the fourth event happens last. You know, the order may be mixed up a bit, but I'm pretty sure things are going to happen within this cluster of events. Now, those are my predictions for this election, guys. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below as always. Thanks a lot.